let's start building up our form. So right here, as you can see, the first thing that we will call is a form component. Then we will spread this form, which is this right here. So right here, we will say form like that. And right here, we can use control space. This will be coming from UI form. Okay, don't confuse it with React hook form. We'll be using UI form, which come from Shadcn. Then right here we'll use curly brackets and spread our form. So inside the form, as you can see right here, we will be having this form element, which is the normal HTML form element, and we will be calling on submit just like this. We'll say form like that. Then this expects us to pass this on submit, and also we can pass this particular class name. So I'll copy that and I'll paste it here. So you can have a spacing of y as 8, and I'll change it to 6 actually. So the next step right here is to create a form field just like this one. So I'll copy this form field up to before the button. I'll just copy that one and I'll paste it here. You can either type it out or you can go to Shadcn and search for form and do whatever I am doing here. So I'll save to first auto format, but we need to import form field. So control space, and we will import that from UI form. We also need to import a form item. So from UI form, we also need to import form label from UI form, form control from UI form, form description from UI form. Also here we have the input that will come from UI input. Then we also have here form message from UI form. So we need to customize this form field. We want it to be for our form title. So we will remove this username and we will replace that with title. And you see the error is gone. And right here we'll say hotel title, placeholder will be beach hotel. Then we'll spread the fields. Okay, then for this form description, I'll actually make it to be above our form control, and right here I'll say provide your hotel name. Then right here form message will display the different error messages. So now I'll go ahead and save that file, and we can check the progress that we have. So I'll come to localhost here, then we can just close that, and you see this is now our hotel form. We have the title, provide your whatever, but if we check, first of all, it's stretching all the way to the end, so it is not inside a container. We need to fix that, and also we'll need to divide it 2 times. So we'll be having fields on this side and we'll be having other fields on this side. So let's do those things. So for the content for the rest of our application to be inside a container, I'll open the root layout. So at app layout right here, we wrap our children with the container component. So right here we'll say container just like that. Make sure it's from at components container. Then I'll pass the children in there and I save, and now it should not stretch all the way but be somewhere there. Okay, very nice. That is a nice step there. Now the next step is to divide our add form into 2. After the form here, I'll actually add a div like that. I'll make use of flexbox to divide our form into 2. Inside this div, we'll be having 2 divs. This is the first section and this is the second section. And our form field here will be available in the very first section. So right here, I'll paste it there. Then we will add some styles. So this is the parent div, and as you can see, we have added 2 parts. Right here, we'll add a class name and I'll say flex, and for this one we will flex call. but this will be for the small screens. For the small screens, we'll want it to be just 1, okay? But for bigger screens, so right here I'll say MD, we will flex row. Okay, so there will be 2 parts. Then we can add a gap of 6 between the 2 parts. Now if I go ahead and save, you might not see any difference here because we are in a small screen, so it's column. But if I expand this, you'll see it's on this side, okay? And we have the other side right here, which is not like really well visible. But if I come right here and say part 2, I save, and you'll see it here. So another thing, I want us to make use of the spacing. So look, all this is empty. We want to make good use of the spacing. So what we will do for this first part, we will also add a class name, and we'll say flex to be 1. And then we will flex our items. We will flex them to be column, and we'll add a gap between them to be 6. Another thing is that we will do the same for this one. So we'll also add a class name, and we will flex as 1, and flex will be column, and also we'll have a gap of 6. So what have we done? This flex 1 will occupy equal spacing as this, so it will occupy half of the spacing, and this will occupy half of the spacing. And then this is like now a flex inside a flex to style these particular form fields, which will be listing here, so they need to be in a column. So now when I come right here, actually I didn't save, I go ahead and save, and we come back to the browser, you'll see that now this will stretch, and there we go. So it is occupying half of the spacing, and this will occupy half of the rest of the spacing. So let's continue and list other form fields right here. Actually, before we list them, we can add a title. So we can do that immediately after our form here, and I'll add a h3. We will conditionally render the heading depending on whether we are updating the title or not. So we will check if we have a hotel, okay? So if a hotel exists, then we will be updating the hotel. Therefore, we will say update your hotel. Else, that means that we will be creating a hotel since it does not exist. So we'll say describe your hotel. Just like that. Now we need to add some styles to this title. So here we'll add a class name, and we'll say text is large and font is semi-bold. Just like that, and I save. Now it's much better. You can make it even larger if you want to, but that is good enough for me. Okay, now we proceed. This was the first one. I'll just copy it and I'll paste it here. So for this, we'll say the name is the description. This will be form.control. We will render a field. Most of these will be the same, only the text right here. So this will be hotel description. Then here we'll provide a brief text. We can say provide a detailed description of your hotel. Then here we'll have a placeholder. A beach hotel is packed with many awesome amenities. So you just say a nice thing about the hotel, just like that. Then we spread the fields, and that will be it for the description. So when I save, it will appear just right here, just like that. Now another thing is that I don't want it to be an input. I want it to be a text area. So we will remove the input here, and we will say that this is a text area. So we will need to import a text area or install it from Shadcn. So right here, text area, just like we did with the input. We need to run this command. So I'll copy that, npm. I pop the terminal, I paste it there and hit enter. So once it installs, we can come here, control space, and we have now text area at our UI. Just like that, okay? Now, when we save and we come to our app, we should see the difference between the input field and the text area. Look, now this is bigger and you can actually make it even bigger. Very nice. So now the next part is the hotel amenities, and for those they'll be having their own special styling. So right here, still inside our div here, we will add a div, and here we will add a general title for the amenities. So here we will say form label, and we'll say choose amenities, just like that. Then right here we will add form description, and right here I'll say choose amenities popular in your hotel, just like that. Then after the form description, we will now list the different amenities, and we'll be making use of a checkbox for this. So we need to style them nicely. I'll add a div, and we can add a class name for this one. And for this, I'll use CSS grid. Okay, not CSS grid, but Tailwind CSS grid. So grid, and right here I'll say grid to be dash calls dash 2. Then we'll have a gap of 4, and we'll have margin to the top of 2. Okay, very nice. Now right here we will add the form field. So here I'll say form field, just like that, and it is self-closing, only that it has the different props. So the different props are just like the one that we have here. So we have this form field. I can copy these props just like that. I copy and I come right here and I paste them inside the form field. Okay, I will save, but we need to customize these. Okay, so you can see we already have a choose amenities, then it's repeating hotel description and so on. So we need to fix all these. So for this form field, it will be a bit different because we'll have form control here. Then the name here will be for gym. This is the first amenity. Then we'll have the field. Then in here, yes, we'll have form item, but we will not have form label or form description. We grouped that at the top there, so we remove the entire of that part. Then we'll have the form control here, and instead of a text area here, we will be having a checkbox. So we need to install checkbox. Right here we can search for checkbox, and we click on this one. I scroll down here, I copy that command. Right here we pop the terminal and we install the checkbox. So as you can see with Shadcn, we only bring in those components that we need. We don't need to have a very heavy library in our application. We just bring in only those things that we need and we make use of them. So now right here, since we have installed the checkbox, we will say checkbox, and that will now come from UI checkbox. Don't import from Radix UI, import from UI checkbox. These will be self-closing, just like that. So we have several props which we can pass to this particular checkbox. So right here, I'll say checked, and for checked, the value will be coming from field dot value, just like that. Another prop that we'll have is on checked change, like that, and right here we'll pass the field dot on change. Now if I save, we'll actually see the checkbox right here, but we will not know what it represents. When we check, it will actually update the value of gym because we have already specified that, but we need to add a form label. So after the form control, that is where I'll add form label, and right here I'll say gym. So I go ahead and save, and look, we have gym. It is not nicely styled, so at the form item, we can add a class name, and we'll say flex row. Then we'll say items to be at the start. We'll space along the x-axis to be 3, and we'll say rounded like this -md, and then we'll have border and padding -4. I save that, and now you'll see that it's okay, it's not nicely styled still. Something is wrong. These fields will be optional, so we don't need this form message. So it will still looks weird here. So if we change to light mode, you'll see this actually this border and whatever. So let's change to light mode, and you can actually see the border around it. So the positioning of this is the one that is weird. So let's try to debug that. We can say center here and see what we have. That one dropped a bit. This should be nicely like styled. Okay, when I say end, it actually looks better. So now they are at the same line there, which is cool. We can go back to dark mode. You see, so on dark mode they'll be like this, which is awesome. On light mode, you can as well remove the border if you want to. This is our first item, and we'll be duplicating these for the others. So right here, I'll copy this form field, control copy, and we'll be doing a similar thing for the rest. So I'll paste. This one will be for spa, and we come right here, we change this from gym to spa. I think those are the only two things we need to change, right? So we will continue on for the others, all of them, and we can now actually come right here, and we show these to be side by side using this one, and we scroll this one to the top so that we see all the amenities that we need to include and not skip any. So after the spa, we will be having bar laundry. So right here, we include one for bar. We come right here and we will say bar. Then right here, we will say laundry. Then this will be laundry facilities. Just like that. After that, we'll continue here. I paste. That will be for the restaurant. Do we have a restaurant in this particular hotel? Restaurant. I don't know if this is the correct spelling. Then here, restaurant. English is not my first language, by the way, so I might struggle with some of those words. So if I make a mistake on spelling, don't blame me. Okay, we continue with shopping. Right here, we will continue with free parking. So we just do this for all of them. It's the same thing here. Free parking. Just make sure to include all of them. Now this one will be bike rental. So bike rental. We make a mess. Bike rental. Then bike rental. Movie nights. And if you make a mess, it will actually complain here. Okay, if this complains, that means that you are doing something wrong. So movie nights. As you can see, that one is not good. Swimming pool, coffee shop. So the way you name them here, they need to be the same. If you started with small letter, make sure you also start with the same, otherwise it might complain. So here we'll say swimming pool. Now finally we will have coffee shop. Then here we can have a coffee dash shop, and I save. Now we are done. I close that, and if we check here, you see they were listed side by side because we had added a grid. at the top here. So there are so many right now. So we had added this grid, a grid of 2, which divides them into 2. So you can now select the different amenities in this particular hotel, and then they'll be marked true. So we can see how it looks like on light mode, and on light mode it will look something like this. I didn't invest so much on light mode. I was developing on dark mode, but it still looks nice, right? And it's also responsive, very nice.